electric. I mean, for those of us who like to buy new cars anyways, if you're considering getting a new car, buy an electric car because electricity is cheaper than gasoline. Oh, it is? Oh, that's so awesome. Oh, what can we get? A Tesla? Everyone says we should all get a Tesla because Tesla makes the best electric cars. That is very true. Here's the current options for a Tesla. Oh, that's expensive. I'm not gonna be able to pay that. Oh, I guess I'm screwed. Well, not necessarily. So yes, Teslas have gotten more expensive, and I honestly am upset about this, okay? Because that means, yeah, that Tesla I've been saving up for, yep, I'm going to have to pay even more for it. I gotta save up even more money for it. Thank goodness I did my comparison. I compared the difference between the previous pricing and today's pricing for the exact spec that I'm saving up for, and it's only like $2,000 difference, which, yeah, it's more expensive and it sucks, but it's not big enough to sway me from the purchase, even though, yeah, I'm still very far off from being able to purchase something like that. But to other people, yeah, it's so hard to get a Tesla. I mean, they didn't change pricing on the standard range, or excuse me, now it's the rear drive Tesla Model 3. It's still the exact same price. Pricing on that has not changed, and it probably means it's because not many people are getting the standard range Tesla Model 3, which, okay, it's not really that bad of a range. Sure, it's short, but honestly, in most situations, like if you're primarily getting this car for city driving, which is what most of us do with our cars, sure, there's the occasional road trip and it's going to add some complications to it, but for the most part, we mostly city drive. And when people usually buy a new car, they don't buy multiple new cars at a time. Usually they still keep an old vehicle around as well. The average family usually holds at least 2 cars. I mean, sure, some families stick to one, and some people who live by themselves, yeah, they stick to one as well. So okay, I can understand that, but for families that are considering buying a brand new car, especially if it's a Tesla, yeah, it makes sense that the standard range is okay, because if you ever do road trips, well, most families actually typically own 2 cars, so it's not that uncommon. You can keep the one Tesla, the one electric car for the city driving, and then do the gas car for other road trips. Or you can learn how to road trip your standard range Tesla, assuming it's possible. In my area, it's not really possible. I should make a dedicated video on why road tripping a standard range Tesla is impossible here. But anywho, that's not the point. The point is, Teslas have gotten expensive, especially the ones that most people are demanding, like the long-range Model 3, the Model Y, the S, and the X, okay? Every Tesla is back-ordered so bad, and they've gotten so expensive at this point that, yeah, not many people want to buy them anymore at this point because they've gotten so expensive. I guess that means it's really time to turn to the competition. What is it the competition is offering? So I guess I'm going to suggest a couple cars that honestly are compelling deals at this point. Basically, all of the sedan competition in terms of the EV space, it's all these luxury sedans and such. So I guess we gotta throw those out. So in terms of actual decent, affordable options, can I turn you to these options? First of all, if you do primarily city driving and you don't drive that often, like say maybe you and your neighbor or a friend or co-worker or something, maybe you guys take turns carpooling, for example, where you don't drive the car as much. May I suggest to you the Chevrolet Bolt? It is currently the most affordable EV at this point, okay? It starts at $26,000. Now, sure, that is a bit expensive, but then again, this is a brand new car we're talking about. And honestly, for what the Bolt has to offer, it's offering over 200 miles of range, so it's even possible to road trip that thing, even though I strongly recommend against it because of its charging speeds. But for the most part, if you plan on basically doing mostly city driving, totally consider getting the Bolt, as it's currently the cheapest EV you can get right now. It's got very decent range, it's got decent tech equipment, like it offers Super Cruise on the Bolt EUV, so yeah, it's going to be more expensive, but it's still going to end up being cheaper than a Tesla. Yes, the Bolt has had some battery issues, however, it's actually not GM's fault, it's actually their supplier's fault. Unfortunately, they're still sticking with the same supplier, so yeah, there is reason to be speculative about the batteries, but just pay attention and monitor these things, okay? I guess that's kind of what you get for going with a slightly cheaper EV. They've been recalled. They've changed the technology to something that should be more reliable. GM supplier does apologize for this, and I honestly hope that this is just a case where, yeah, we've had the Note 7 incident in the smartphone industry where the Note 7 basically had a bunch of exploding battery issues. It was a problem with the Note 7, hasn't really been a problem ever since. I'm hoping that is the case with the Bolt. So yeah, consider the Bolt on your shopping list, as it is by far the cheapest EV, especially if you're going to drive this thing in the city for the most part. It's a really good and compelling option. But maybe you do actually plan on all-rounding this EV instead of dedicating it to city driving and such. Maybe you do plan on doing more road trips. Well, allow me to steer you towards a few more options, like the Volkswagen ID4. It's got very great charging speeds. In fact, there's actually an incentive going on right now where you get some free miles on road trips. I think some other vehicles get some free miles out of it too, but I do know the ID4 in general has this advantage. It's not exactly the most space efficient, like I believe there isn't not a frunk on it. And then also there's the infotainment that Volkswagen really, to my surprise, needs to actually catch up on. The infotainment systems in the ID4 are a bit sluggish, but if that doesn't bother you, well, the ID4's got very good range, like over 300 miles. It costs around the $30,000 mark. It's got barely decent charging speeds, so it's a little easier to road trip that. It's a solid option. And then the last two options that I actually want to bring up in terms of affordable EVs, yes, this is still getting more expensive, but it is still more affordable compared to a Tesla, is actually the Hyundai and Kia twins, the Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6. The Ioniq 5 offers, honestly, what you think would be more of a luxury EV feature compared to what price point it's currently at, but the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, they actually offer the 350 kilowatt charging speeds that, well, you mostly see on all of the luxury EVs like the Porsche Taycan, for example. So getting that plus a decent range and cheaper than a Tesla, honestly, it's not that bad of a value. That and, well, this is Hyundai and Kia we're talking about. So if you're concerned about Hyundai and Kia, they're not exactly that familiar with making EVs at this point. Well, here's the thing. They offer some crazy, insane warranties. If for whatever reason your car does happen to have a problem, be it the Ioniq 5 or the Kia EV6, if you do happen to have problems with those, at least they offer some of the best warranties in the car industry today. So definitely consider those on your shopping list. They are more expensive than the ID4 and the Chevy Bolt, but you're getting, honestly, one of the best warranties in the industry. Plus, very fast charging speeds when you want to road trip it, along with very good range as well. So definitely consider those on the shopping list as well. And those are pretty much going to some of my recommendations should Tesla have definitely priced you out and such, because yeah, unfortunately, if money wasn't really a factor, I'd still have to recommend you guys towards Tesla, as Tesla is by far the king in the reliability in this industry, the king of proving this technology, as well as general charging network, which, yeah, it makes a very big difference in terms of road tripping. But obviously, demand for Teslas have gotten so out of whack. They've been backlogged to the point where, yeah, you can't get them for some of them, you can't even get till next year. It makes sense that the prices have just been increasing because, honestly, there's a bit of a supply and demand problem with these things, and it's that Tesla cannot build these things fast enough. And there's just so many pre-orders. Now, yeah, Tesla is pumping these things out left and right. They've been breaking their records in terms of how many they've ever delivered within a given time period. It's absolutely nuts. But the problem is they've been getting so many orders and they're trying to keep up to the point where, yeah, there's now a supply and demand problem. They gotta raise these prices to keep it under control because clearly people value Teslas more than maybe others would ever think. I mean, sure, inflation and maybe some supply shortages are definitely factoring into some of it, but I'd say the demand is the biggest factor that's causing these price increases, and I can understand why, yeah, you might have to look towards the competition because you've just been priced out. If you've been priced out of a Tesla, here's some other options that are honestly very decent. Road tripping is still probably going to be a bit of a nightmare as Electrify America and various other third-party charging stations still need to improve their reliability compared to the Tesla supercharging stations. But there are some other options that are actually getting better. Like, I've started watching Out of Specs channel, and they've been doing a good job at proving that Electrify America, as well as the other CCS cars, they are much better than we actually think they are. I still would prefer a Tesla because they've proven themselves at this point. point, but this doesn't mean that CCS is catching up. They're still not my preferred, but they're catching up. Alright, thank you for watching. Do me a favor and interact with stuff below. My name is DeWolf, Random Alpha, signing out.